Good morning. Can everybody hear okay? Everybody can hear? Hello, hello. Welcome to the Greensboro Town Meeting. A few housekeeping things before we get going. Every time an event happens here, they start off by saying, in the unlikely event. So the unlikely event of we need to get out of here, there's an exit there, there's an exit there, okay? And then get your way out of here. And there's one over there, look at that. Restrooms down here, you probably all know where they are. We have 2 new microphone runners this year because Leo and Amelia have a previously scheduled event. So Lewis and McKenna are going to be the microphone runners. So please, even though you can hear me, the audience can't hear you. So if you do want to say something, put your hand up. One of those guys is going to shove a microphone in your mouth. You must be on the checklist, a registered voter in Greensboro, in order to vote. If there is a ballot vote for anything that happens in this meeting, i.e. the budget vote or a contest for an election to an office, the ballot voting will happen back here. And the procedure is very simple. We're going to go down that way. Now the furthest back is a ramp. So that is a nice gentle slope coming down onto the stage. And the frontmost row where Clive is and David Smith and that crew is also on the same level as the stage. So real simple, just walk down here, state your name, put it in your ballot, and go back out. There are 2 steps over here, however. But we have blocked off the stairs down front, so nobody has to come up here, so therefore nobody falls down off of here. I think that's about it. There is a Hazen budget vote going on out there, and the solid waste vote going on out there. Also out there is a Greensboro Association display, a library display. There's free water, and there is all kinds of information supplement to this meeting. And I think that is about it. Okay? So, here we go. Warning for the annual town and town school district meeting. The legal voters of the town of Greensboro are hereby warned and notified to meet at the Highland Center for the Arts in Greensboro, Tuesday, March 5th, 2019, at 10 a.m. to transact the following business. Article 1, to elect a moderator to govern, said town for the coming year. What is your pleasure?
Nominate Tim Nisbet.
David Smith has nominated Tim Nisbet. Are there other nominations? And I'll remind you that nominations for offices do not require a second. I don't hear any, so this is a ballot vote. It is proper for somebody to make the proper motion, which is Mike.
Clerk cast 1 ballot to keep Nisbet the moderator.
Second?
Second.
Okay, so what Mike said was he moves that the clerk cast 1 ballot for me, Tim Nisbet, as your moderator for the next year. If you're in favor of that, you'll say aye. Aye. You're opposed, you'll say no. Thank you, you've elected me as your moderator. Yay, okay. So, I see Vicki Strong has just walked in the door. Good timing. Would you like a few moments to speak? Okay. You guys want to hear from Vicki? Okay, so Vicki, you got to walk around there and come up on the stage. Here she comes. Keep coming. Use this one.
Good morning. It's really a privilege to be with you all today. I just flew in from Craftsbury. Their town meeting started at 9, and of course yours is at 10. And nice to see the select board here. Thank you for all your work. This is local government at its best, and we shouldn't take it for granted. I'm elected by you to serve you in the state legislature in Montpelier, and I think of that as a privilege. It's also a tough job. I wish I could please you all. But there's so many issues and so many different sides to an issue. and I'm doing the best I can there. And this is my 5th term, which means it's a 2-year term. This is the 9th year, and at the end of this session, it'll be 10 years that I've served you there. And I've learned a lot, and I really appreciate all that I've learned. Our state government in Vermont is really special. And we have Republicans, Democrats, progressives, independents. We all bring our voice to the table, and we come up with the best solutions we can. And it's really in legislature up here, it's called the People's House. And many of you have been down there. I see you in the halls, and you go to committees and talk with people. And that's the fun part of being in legislature, is seeing my own constituents coming in with their concerns. Another thing is that when topics come up, I just want you to know that we are accessible, either email or messages through the Sergeant of Arms. And I have an envelope here full of messages that I receive from you on different issues and topics. So your message, your voice is delivered directly to me, and I read them and appreciate them, and sometimes it takes volume to get our attention or to get your concerns heard, but it really makes a difference, and I thank you. So this session, I'm on Agriculture Committee, and for those of you who don't know, my husband grew up in Craftsbury, and I met him 40-some years ago when I was at Sterling College. And it was quite a different program back then, but I loved my time at Sterling and loved Craftsbury. I love Vermont. And with that smattering of agriculture, forestry, and conservation, I'm so glad to be on the Ag Committee. And I want to give you some good news, and that is that right now we have 6,000 farms in Vermont, and that's not dairy farms per se, that's a combination of every kind of farm out there. Hemp farms now, and vegetable farms, and so many of you have come and even come into the State House to testify and to share what's happening on these farms. We do have right now 700 dairy farms, and 15 years ago we had 1,600. So we've really plummeted in the number of dairy farms, and it's really tied to a lot of things. Aging population of farmers that can't keep a farm going and aren't able to pass it on to the next generation. And our milk prices are tied to two kind of funny things, and they're international issues. One is the amount of dried milk in Europe that's been stored in bulk and now slowly being sold. And another one is cheese that has literally been in storage in a cave in the Midwest. And there's millions of pounds of cheese that need to be sold and on the market to help with milk prices. So this St. Patrick's Day, everybody go out and buy some cheese and turn it green, do whatever, but have increase your taste and enjoyment of cheese. So we've been talking about the diversity of farming in Vermont, and that's what's going to help us move forward for the future of farming and the value-added products that we see: butter, cheese, milk products, and yogurt, ice cream, all these things that we love as Americans. But that's helping with dairy farms is the diversity and the new ways that we're marketing it and getting it out even outside of Vermont. So the bills that we're dealing with have to do with, and I've heard from some of you, the pollinator issue of pesticides, herbicides that are killing some of our bees, and we need them for pollination. So we're dealing with herbicides and pesticides. We're talking about new ways of farming, that our farmers are doing no-till types of farming and making a difference in the quality of our soil. And the more our soil is improved, the quality, the better our water quality will be and our air quality. And we see some great things happening in the farming communities all across the state with soil quality, which is making a difference for our water quality. So in the next couple weeks, we'll be doing all of our budgets and passing them out of the House. Maybe you've heard that we've had a lot of bills be drafted. They come in, they go to committees. Right now, believe it or not, 1,000 bills are being sent to committees, and there's no way we're going to pass even a fraction of them. But there are topics that all of us have interests in, and so we want people's voices to be heard, and those bills go into committees, and then we decide through the session which bills come out of committee and are passed. But the main ones are our budget committee bills, and they'll be coming out when we go back. We're halfway through our session, and in Vermont we go from early January till early to mid-May. And thankfully, we have the rest of the time of the year to be in our communities and be with our constituents. So I will end there, and if anyone has any questions or any answers, let me know.
Any questions for Vicki? Oh, you're going to get off easy. Thank you very much. Oh, excuse me, I got a question. Erica?
Yeah, I was just wondering how the Act 46 thing is going. We're pretty involved in it, and what's going on?
I've got the bad news that the judge just, was this on the news last night? Just said that the forced mergers, he wasn't going to allow a delay. So we did pass in the House, and I signed on to this bill and several bills having to do with delaying forced mergers or even putting a moratorium on them. We have a whole bunch of versions of that. It's in the Senate and in the Senate Ed Committee. And I believe if you want to really fight for your small school here, Greensboro is a great community, and we've got to keep our small schools. And I'm in the legislature fighting for that, and of course Representative Sam Young is, and your senators, Bobby Starr and John Rogers, we're all with you and plugging for you and fighting for you. But on the local level, our school boards, select boards, and you who are here, keep raising your voices, and just, we just can't lose our small schools that are in our communities, and there are ways to keep them strong and vibrant. So as of right now, I believe to truly answer your question, to get in touch with the Ed Committee in the Senate, and you can find them on the website there. Look for Senate, look for Ed Committee, the names of those legislators are there. Email them, just say, hey, those of us in Greensboro are really concerned, and we're fighting for our school, and we need your help. So just let them know and be in touch. It makes a difference.
Over here.
Hello. I just did my taxes this year and noticed that Vermont eliminated everything except the standard deduction. And for me, that doesn't bother me particularly, but for older folks who are in nursing homes who have $100,000 of care a year, or who are on Medicaid in nursing homes and only get to keep $40 or some a month, I think that is going to be a significant burden on that population. And I just wonder if that was thought about in advance or if it's been noticed yet, because this is just taking effect this year, I believe.
Okay, that is a great point, and I'm not sure, to answer your question honestly, if that, well, a lot of times we have unintended consequences when things are passed, of details that happen after the fact. So actually, Representative Sam Young's on the Ways and Means Committee, and he's very knowledgeable, by the way, on all those issues having to do with taxation and how it's affecting different areas. So I would be in touch with him, if you don't mind, and let him know that, because that's an important point. And he does bring your voice to the table in that committee.
Hi. Ooh, this is loud. I'm not sure that anything can be done on the state level, but as the person on the Ag Committee, it's something that you might be looking at. They're trying to relax the standards for organic labeling, and at the federal level.
Okay.
As is so often the problem, it comes from above. And I'm wondering if anything can be done at the state level to reinforce, that's a big part of our branding. It's a big part right in this village of things that people here do, and to maintain true organic standards.
Right, and that's a good point. And the Vermont brand is important. Our labeling is huge, and people from around the country love Vermont products. And we have been talking about labeling issues, whether it's your eggs that you get and it's cage-free, organic, range, free range. There's all these words, and people don't often know what some of those mean. So we've been looking at that. And one thing, when it has to come to labeling, we've talked about in the committee, are all the milk products that are actually almond milk, rice milk, coconut milk. I guess there's a new oat one out. But it uses the word milk. And it's, in a way, being disingenuous to the fact that milk is dairy, cows and goats and that sort of thing. So we're even looking at labeling in those terms to try to help our dairy farmers. But I appreciate your thoughts on that. And our Vermont image and Vermont labels are important.
Penny?
Do you have the wording for the Cabot town meeting today regarding pollinators? I was thinking that when new business arises today, it's a non-binding agreement to do better by our pollinators, and we might consider that wording at new business today. But I don't know if you have that wording that Cabot is passing.
No, I don't.
It was much touted on public radio the last couple days.
We do have a bill in committee, if I'm understanding your question right, about pollinators. Is this, am I on the right track? For our neonics and glyphosate and things that are affecting our insects and bees. So we're actually taking a lot of testimony in committee right now about this issue. And this is revisited. Last session they also did this topic. A lot of times it'll pass the House and not the Senate. So we're bringing it all back up again and talking it over. Representative Chip Troiano from Standard has brought that bill to us, and we're looking at it.
Any other questions or comment for Vicki? Okay, good. You're off the hook. Thank you. See you. Okay, as common with our town meeting, we every year, the select board present the Greensboro Award. This would be an appropriate time to do that.
So recently, a friend of mine introduced me to a concept called communitarianism. It's not new, and I think it's been practiced in Vermont since its inception almost. What it does is stress the importance of community in terms of social, political, and cultural life over individuals to some degree. And so by doing that, it also eventually enriches everyone's life. And I think it explains how Vermont developed into its current socially conscious state, and why we may be somewhat different from similar areas, say, like New Hampshire, which is more urban and doesn't have the rural, necessarily all the rural background that we have. I think it also explains why we're here today at town meeting, to enhance our community. It also, I think, explains why we have the Greensboro Award, which recognizes people who have given significant energy and time to their communities. It may also explain why in the 60s and 70s, young people came here or were here and developed co-ops, collectives, communes, and why in Greensboro specifically, in 1973, a group of parents were able to establish a school in Greensboro Bend by moving Erica Karp's preschool from her home at her farm to the old elementary school in Greensboro Bend. So today we want to recognize the almost 50 decades of the school, excuse me, 5 decades, 50 years, approaching 50 years. I thought I could slip that by you. and the continuous service that this school has provided to the town. I mean, initially, a group of parents and Erica started the school, it was a very much needed service that was not well provided for in the communities. So to recognize this, I have struggled with how we refer to this place, because it's been called the Caspian Area Center, the Caspian Area Program, Greensboro Early Learning Center, and now it's 4 Seasons of Early Learning. But basically, this is recognizing the school and everyone who's been involved with it, including parents, students, staff, supporters, board members, pretty much anyone who involved with it. So for 46 years, I'd like to ask Erica and Michelle LaFlamme to come up, because they're going to receive this award, so they can make their way up. So again, we're recognizing the service of 46 years to the community that this school has made, even though it has undergone numerous changes, name changes, mostly to adapt to changing requirements of the community and state and federal laws. And so it's survived all this time and survived very successfully. I'm sure most people have many people have a relationship with the school. They seem to have maintained their philosophy of providing a quality service that is sort of geared towards meeting each child's individual needs. So again, we want to recognize everyone who's been involved with this. And also remember that now 4 Seasons provide lunches, and during lunch and town meeting, and during lunch today, we're going to have a photo stream on the screen in the other room that kind of documents the life of this institution. So, thank you very much, and we have brochures as per usual. And we also have this clock gift that we... So, excuse me, Michelle, in case somebody knows, is the current director of 4 Seasons. If you yes, come and say something.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to first recognize Erica's vision that she had for the center. We wouldn't be where we are today without her, or all of you. Day in and day out, people from this community support us and help us and believe in our vision and believe in our kids. So this is for all of you, too. Thank you.
Okay. We're going to get down to the nitty-gritty of the meeting, which is Article 2, to take action on the Town of Greensboro Annual Printed Report.
Yes. Sorry about that. I move that we accept the warning as printed, but I have some following changes that were errors.
Is there a second? Second by Mike. Okay, go ahead with your changes.
Page 4, Andy's term was a 3-year term, not 1 year, and it stated it's a 1 year, revoted in 2021. So it's a 3-year term. On page 8, it should read Article 8 should read 2019. On page 29, I'm sorry.
Okay, on page 8, Article 8.
Article 8.
Fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2019.
2019, I'm sorry. And then on page 29, It's Michael Lapierre's phone number. There's a digit missing. His phone number should be 802-730-7916.
No, 786.
7816?
Yep.
Oh, I have that wrong too. So
Yep.
that's what I have.
Moderator,
Yes.
A couple of additional revisions. First on page 36, I'm Hal Gray of the library. The Emergency Planning Commission refers to the library as an emergency shelter. In fact, that is not the case because the library has no generator.
Okay.
And secondly, and that's page 36, page 53, a person's name is a sacred quality. I want to correct Federico Vicconi. There's no R on page 53. There should be no R in the fourth entry after.
Okay. Any other corrections to the town report? Yes, Mike? Hang on a second. Coming at you.
Thanks. Also on page 4, it should show that McNeil is now on the Hazen Union School Board. He was appointed when Jefferson Tolman resigned 4 months ago. McNeil.
So, again, Mike, what is it? What did McNeil do? Sorry.
He's now on the Hazen Union School.
On the Hazen board. Okay, got it. Okay. Okay. So McNeil has taken Jefferson Tolman's place, but, okay, got it. Anything else? Yes, Tanya. Hang on. She'll get to you. Louis, this way. Yep, thank you. Put your hand up, Tanya. There you go. Thank you.
On page 60, the Greensboro Town School District is meeting here,
Yep.
not at the Fellowship Hall.
Page 50? 60. Okay, page 60, at the top of the page, where it says Warning Town School District, it says Tuesday at the Fellowship Hall. It is not, it's here at the HCA. Anything else? Yes? Nomi?
I don't know if I do this now or later, but can I ask that on page 6 in Article 5, we vote for the 3-year term of Select Board before the 2-year term? I know this is something we discussed last year in terms of going down in length of terms, in terms of our
Yeah, I
order.
don't have a problem with that, okay. Anything else? Clive? Here comes, right behind you.
Oh, there we go. On page 4, Bill Eisner has resigned as Justice of the Peace, and the Town Democratic Committee has nominated Judy Carpenter as Justice of the Peace, and that nomination has been sent to the Governor's office.
Okay. Anything else?
Yes.
Yes, Hal, hang on a second here. McKenna.
Page 4 lists library trustees, and it should also recognize Donna Jenks after John Miller on library trustees, page 4.
Anything else? Yes,
I
Jen?
have no corrections, but I want to applaud the breakdown of the budget into little pieces and the explanations that go with it, which I think is Andy's idea, but I'm not sure.
Yep. Okay, you ready for the question? Which is to accept Article 2, I think it was. To accept the Town of Greensboro annual reports with the corrections. If you are in favor, you'll say aye. Aye. Those opposed will say no. Okay, we've done that. All right, Article 3, shall the voters authorize the Northeast Kingdom Waste Management District to appropriate and extend a budget of $825,073. This is an Australian ballot. It will happen out there in the gallery. Would anybody like to discuss that? We can? Yes. Behind you.
The budget's up 8.5%. Is there any explanation for that?
There's a budget breakdown on the town table out there that tells, the solid waste budget is out on a town table. It tells you what that was. I didn't note all the, I think probably the cost of recycling the products, but their budget is out there on our town table if you want more information on that. You can vote until 7, so if you need time to look through that, it's out there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? If not, we'll move on to Article 4. Shall the voters of the town of Greensboro authorize property tax exemption for the ball field property identified as parcel ID 005-0002 for a one-year period? This will eliminate the municipal property tax due. However, the amount due for education taxes will still need to be raised and will be included in our local agreement rate. Moved by Janet, seconded by Dylan. Discussion. Generally, the person that makes the motion has the floor first. Anything you want to say, Janet? No? Okay. Discussion about the ball field tax exemption?
I can offer a little about the contract if you'd like.
Okay.
The Osterhouse bishops have leased this to us for a number of years. We just got into another contract with them so that the town can use that as a ball field. So if you would be willing to absorb the taxes, we do have the use of that for our community.
Okay. Everybody here okay? Good. Yes, Mike.
I'm just curious as to why it's 1 year. Will we be doing this again next year, or?
We vote on the, assuming the taxes every year, but the lease.
Could we not then change this to say, going forward forever? I'm just curious why we would do this each year if we're going to pass it each year.
I believe we can. It's just this has been a yearly thing. In the past, the lease had been just a yearly lease, and it's just the past couple, last lease and this lease, they authorized it to be a 3-year lease, so it's probably just because of that. It was a yearly lease at the time.
Okay, thanks.
Then why not change this to a 3-year vote
Yeah,
to match the lease?
We just had that signed after this went to print. We had the lease.
So Mike, would you like this to be 3 years?
I think it would be inappropriate to change it at this time, this meeting. If you want to do it subsequent, that would be a select board's decision to make, to put into the warning. Okay, ready for the question? Okay, the question is, shall the voters of the town of Greensboro authorize property tax exemption for the ball field property identified as parcel ID 005-0002 for a one-year period? This will eliminate the municipal property tax due. However, the amount due for education taxes will still need to be raised and will be included in our local agreement rate. If you're in favor, please say aye. Aye. If you're against it, say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. That is passed. Okay, now we're going to get into elections. And again, you need to be on, if there is a ballot vote, which means if there's a contest for any one of these offices, there is a ballot vote. And you must be on a checklist to do the ballot, and you'll have a little piece of paper which you can either supply or we'll have, and we'll go around here and state your name and vote. Okay. And I've been requested from the audience to change the order to do the select board 3-year position first. That's okay with everybody? All right, so the office is for select board member, a 3-year position, currently held by Michael Lapierre. What is your pleasure?
Nominate Michael Lapierre.
Michael Lapierre is nominated.
Second it.
Don't need to. Believe it or not, you don't have to do a second. Don't know why. Other nominations for 3 years? I don't see any. So this is a ballot vote. However, we can speed it up if we listen to Mike.
I move that the nomination cease and that the clerk cast one ballot for Mike Lapierre for select board.
Is there a second? Okay, the motion in front of you is that the nominations for 3-year select board position cease and that the clerk cast one ballot for Michael Lapierre. If you are in favor, you'll say aye. If you're opposed, you'll say no. You've elected Mike. Okay, second office is that a select board member, a 2-year position. Floor is open for nominations. Mike.
I'd like to nominate Tracy Collier.
Tracy Collier's name is in front of you. Any others? Seeing none. Mike, what would you like to do with it?
I move that the nomination cease and that the clerk cast one ballot for Tracy Collier.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. The motion in front of you is that the nominations for select board member 2 years cease and that the clerk cast one ballot for Tracy Collier for that position. Oh, by the way, would she accept it? Is she here?
Yes.
She is. Okay. Oh, there you are. Okay, good. Yep. Great. Okay. All in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no? Congratulations.
Tracy, stop in.
Peter, go ahead.
So I assume people know that Susan Wood's not here because she's out of town. She's the 5th member of the board, or was. And she accepted a 1-year term last year knowing that this was going to be she was going to be done. And even though she's not here, I want to recognize her for 7 years of very valuable service on the select board.
Okay. Next office in front of you is that of trustee of public funds, a 3-year position. Nominations. Well, I guess I can tell you who's currently. Okay, currently, let's see, Cheryl Lumsden is the trustee of public funds whose term is expiring today.
Nominate Cheryl Lumsden.
Cheryl Lumsden's name is in front of you. Does anybody know if she would accept this? Larry, where are you? There you are. Oh, go for it. That's your head. Okay, Roseanne.
I move nominations be closed and one ballot be cast for Cheryl Wilson.
Motion, second? Okay, the motion in front of you is that nominations cease and the clerk cast one ballot for Cheryl Lumsden as your trustee for public funds. If you're in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. That is carried. Cemetery Commissioner, 3-year term. Okay, Cemetery, where are you?
I nominate Wayne Young.
Wayne Young is nominated by his wife. Good, there you go. No, it wasn't. Oh, okay. It was not his wife, excuse me. Other nominations for Cemetery Commission, 3-year term? We don't have to do a ballot on this one. All in favor of Wayne being your Cemetery Commissioner, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? He's elected. Thank you. Okay, Constable. This is a ballot vote. First Constable, currently held by Rick Walsh, 1-year term. Nominations.
Does Rick plan to be here for a year?
Rick, what's your plan? You going to be around for a year? That was the answer to your question. Janet nominates Rick Walsh. Other nominations? Ballot vote. I think it is. Well, okay, never mind. All right. All in favor, seeing no other nominations, all in favor of Rick Walsh being your first constable, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay. He's elected. Second constable, currently held by Mark Schneider. Nominations. Mike. Mark Snyder is nominated as your second constable. Would he accept? Yes. He would. Okay. Others? Nobody wants to wear a star. Okay. All in favor of Mark Snyder's being your constable for a year? Your second constable, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? None. Okay. He's elected. Library trustee, only one this year, 3-year term. Hal.
I nominate, oh wait a minute, I need a mic?
Yes.
I nominate Carol Reynolds for a second three-year tour. She is our sole regular trustee from Stannard, which also contributes tax money to the library, a smaller amount, but significant for our purposes. And Carol has done a remarkable job. I would like to nominate her, therefore, for the three-year library trustee board.
Okay, other nominations for library trustee? Janet has a question.
It looks like Ken Johnston went off last year. Is he still there? It's a 2018 date.
Go ahead, Hal, here he comes.
Ken Johnston served nobly on the board for a total of 6 years, and in that sense, aged out, and so was not eligible. Age out in terms of service, not of age. And therefore chose not to run again.
I'm not nominating him, saying he shouldn't even be in here.
The question that Janet is raising is that he is listed on page 4 as his term expiring in 2018, which was a year ago.
Yeah.
I defer to the formulation of the town report. I agree that that it looks a little odd because, yes, we've passed 2018.
My mistake.
Okay, we're going to move along. All in favor of Carol Reynolds as a library trustee, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Okay, she's elected. Collector of delinquent taxes, currently held by Janet Long. 1-year term, ballot vote. Laura Lee. Janet Long is nominated as your collector of delinquent taxes. Others? Popular position. Okay, well, this is a ballot vote. Hint, hint. Mike.
Move that the nomination cease and that the clerk cast one ballot for Janet Long, collector of delinquent taxes.
Second.
Second.
Okay, the motion on the floor is that the clerk cast one, that the nomination cease, the clerk casts one ballot. Janet Long is collector of delinquent taxes. 1-year positions, please say aye if you're in favor. Aye. Opposed, say no. Okay, done. All right, here we go into our town agent. 1-year position. Currently held by David Smith.
I nominate David Smith.
Who's that?
David Smith has been nominated as your town agent. Is he here? David, you? There you are. Yeah. I'm gonna miss. Would you accept that?
Yes.
Okay. Other nominations for town agent? Interesting, on the news recently, some towns are voting to eliminate this. How could we eliminate David Smith?
I've eliminated myself.
We'll leave that alone. Okay. All in favor of David Smith being your town agent for a year, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? He's duly elected. Town grand juror, also held by David Smith. And this one could be called into action at some point, hasn't so far. Floor is open for nominations.
I nominate David Smith.
Mary nominates David Smith. Others? All in favor of David Smith being your town grand juror for 1 year, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Not hearing any, he is elected. We have gone through the elections. Wow. Okay. Let's not make this too quick because we have a great lunch. All right. Yeah, more time to enjoy lunch. There you go. All right, Article 6, shall the voters of the town of Greensboro appropriate the following sums to the outside agencies listed below? I need a motion to accept.
So moved.
Moved by who? Kim. Second? Second by Mike, okay. So customarily what I do, I read down through these one at a time. We can amend them up or down. We can go back to them and amend them up and down. When we get to the last and we're no longer amending them up and down, we will vote the bottom line. If I don't hear anybody speaking up, I'll just continue to the next one. First one, Northeast Kingdom Council on Aging, $1,000. Try not to forget you guys up top there. Aware, $2,000. Caledonia Home Health, $1,400. Clarina Howard Nichols Center, $1,500. Let's see, Grass Creek Community Care Center, $10,500. Four Seasons on Early Learning, $9,500. Yes, what'd I do?
No, I
Did I hear a comment someplace?
should be on.
I'm sorry?
The name should be up, not on.
Oh, okay, well, I'm reading what I've got in front of me. It should be, yes, you're correct.
Yeah.
So, fourth Seasons of Early Learning, $9,500. Green Up, $50. Greensboro Nursing Home, $22,500. Bobby? Oh, here comes Lewis. Yes, you're right in the middle. I'll forget his question.
Hi, for all of you that don't know me, I'm Bobby Nisbet, and I'm currently the Vice President of the Board of Trustees of the Greensboro Nursing Home. Closer?
There you go.
Okay. So I'm currently the Vice President of the Greensboro Nursing Home, and I know there's been lots of conversation in town about our nursing home, and I want to let you know that things are going well. Over 10 years, we've had 7 different administrators, and each administrator brings their views and their ideas, and consistency has not followed through on most of them. But I want to let you know that we are heading now to a brighter future. One thing that's happening now is we now have in-house physical therapy. Before, we had an outside agency that came in and would provide physical therapy 2 to 3 times a week. It is now there every day, and every resident receives some form of therapy. On top of that, the therapist who is currently there has combined with the activities director to provide activities for all residents with their interests in mind and their needs in mind. Some of the ideas of they are researching areas that they would like to know more about, and they print out pictures, cut out pictures, post pictures on the hall walls, and then they have a walking tour so that they are able to walk the halls and look at their pictures and learn something about what they're interested in. The current medical director at the nursing home is really excited about this program because she said now all residents are engaged in activities, even those that have difficulty expressing their needs or feeling as though they can't speak about their needs, and oftentimes do this in a way that is disruptive to other residents. That is no longer happening. These residents are now happy and engaged, and the medical director is really happy about that. We are having community members continue to come in, volunteers continue to come in, and young people are continuing to come in. And the nice part about this is that they're unplugging from their electronic devices, and they're engaging in conversation and learning lots about older folks and what they did when they were younger. We're constantly looking for new board members, and this is an exciting time to come on to the board because we are moving forward in a really exciting way. And each member of our community that comes onto the board brings a very special talent that they have. And we welcome all of those talents and all of those voices to the board. So if you're interested, come see me or another member of the board. And thank you for supporting the nursing home in the past, and hope you will continue to support it in the future. Thank you.
Good. Moving right along, Hardwick Area Community Coalition, $500.
One
Janet?
question
Sorry.
before we go on.
Yep, okay.
Bobby, who is the administrator now?
Our current administrator is Casey Keefe.
I was told he resigned and the board accepted his resignation.
There, as I said, we are moving in exciting times, and things change, and we have a new plan for that, and going forward, we have a director of nursing and the head of physical therapy who are helping us bring the nursing home back into the 21st century. And part of that plan is for Casey to remain as our administrator for another 6 months.
Just trying to keep up.
I will be glad to talk with you further about this.
Okay, I think the nursing home is a very important part of this community.
Any other discussion on the nursing home before we move on? Thank you. Good presentation. Hardwick Area Community Coalition, $500. Hardwick Area Food Pantry, $2,500. Hardwick Greensboro Restorative Justice, $1,500. Lamoille Family Center, I assume that's supposed to be center, $500. Northeast Kingdom Human Services, $800. Northeast Kingdom Learning Services, $250. North Country Animal League, $600. Northeastern Vermont Development Association, $572. Orleans County Historical Society, $625. Orleans County Citizens Advocacy, $800. Orleans County, back up to Roseanne, sorry.
What is that?
What is, okay.
Orleans County Citizens Advocacy.
Okay. Who can speak to Orleans County Citizens Advocacy? Hang on.
Oh, never mind, I can read, that's okay. Thanks.
Well,
I just
no,
wondered if there was
this is-
anybody here to speak to it.
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
Kim?
there isn't anyone here. They're part of the brochure that's out there for outside agencies requesting funds. There's a lot of their budget is there, and we've been supporting them. But I'm afraid I'm not up to what they're, but there is, all the information is out there. I just didn't bring it forward.
But they didn't send anybody.
Okay. Here-
Okay.
They sent a request and then we've supported them for that, the same amount for years.
So here's a whole collection of financial reports about all these various things. And within there is Orleans County Citizens Advocacy, a profit and loss statement. There is nothing that describes what it does that I can see. Excuse me, there is. The page before talks about it. Mission statement: to build and support one-to-one long-term independent relationships between unpaid community members and individuals with developmental disabilities so that all are heard, respected, included, and empowered. That's their mission statement. There's some paragraphs talking about it, and then there's a financial statement. So, can't hear you, Trish.
It has supported people in this community.
Okay, Trish's comment is it has supported folks within the community. Okay. We good with that? The $800 for Orleans County citizens advocacy. Next one is Orleans County Court diversion, $300. Red Cross, $250. Hardwick Rescue Squad, $7,756. Penny.
I'm concerned about the recent difficulty in getting rescue volunteers, and I'm not sure that warrants a raise in that support amount, but you, speaking personally, if you can step down from your position for a minute, or somebody else in the room might be able to answer the question, how can we support our rescue people better? They're volunteers, and it's becoming harder and harder to pry younger people loose from their 7-day-a-week, 24/7 jobs, my children included, for rescue jobs. And I have cringed at the troubles in our further Northeast Kingdom neighbors who have had difficulty with this. So if there's anybody that can speak to the possibility of us, I hate to say, throwing more money at this problem, and if it would help, can you answer that question?
Is it okay if I step away from my podium and stay here? Okay. I think I'm the only member of the Hardwick Rescue Squad here, but we do struggle with volunteers, and we are entirely a volunteer organization with the exception of one paid person who covers time to go out and do runs and also do some administrative work. We probably are going to be having to hire another person, which means a budgetary problem. We have got it in the budget for this year so that we can do that. But this is a real crisis. And I'm not saying that we need to put any money into this today at all. We're okay. But in the future, we may be forced to have either a full-time ambulance service or contract with somebody else to do that. If we contract with somebody else, the response times are going to be horrible, unless they are stationed right in Hardwick. Obviously, if we hire people, then they'll be right here in Hardwick. If we do that, we're going to have to build a better facility, and that's in the talking stage right now, to build a different facility. However, nothing's happening right now. So we're okay right now, but the volunteer problem is a real issue, because we've got members who are doing multiple days a month. And yeah, it's good to have young people doing it, but we can have older duffers like me doing it too. We can use drivers, we can use EMT people. And how do we come up with $7,756? We prepare a budget every year, and we look back over the last 5 years over the 7 towns that we cover, and we get a weighted average of how many calls, or an average over the last 5 years, each town did. And we divide up the amount of money that we need to get from the towns proportionately to that. So, as I said, we serve 7 towns. We have 2 ambulances. We have an on-call crew of 3 people, 24 hours. If a second call comes out, or if the first call needs additional resources, then people have to listen to their dispatcher and go, or we do mutual aid with other services. So that's my dog and pony show, Penny.
I move that we bump that up to $10,000 and say that that is exploration money for the survival of our rescue organization, support money, a vote of confidence from our community. We are all so grateful to have these services, and I think we can manage to bring it up to some higher amount here. And so I'm moving that, and if there's a second, I'd appreciate it.
Roseanne? Okay, so what Penny has in effect done is introduce an amendment to change the appropriation to the rescue squad from $7,756 to $10,000, is that correct? Okay, so this is an amendment. Discussion. Discussion from anybody? Okay. Trish?
separate from the amendment, but the Hardwick Rescue Squad also accepts private donations. They have a P.O. box. Ask Tim.
Yes. We're very generously supported by private individuals, both through memorial donations for folks that have recently died and through just wanting to send a donation in. Penny?
I'd just like to point out that you can't budget on possible donations coming in.
Correct. Okay, anything else? Mike? Louis? There we go.
Tim, am I to understand correctly that you guys have to pay for your own training?
Excuse me?
Do you have to pay for your own training?
Do we have to pay for our training? No. No, the training is provided, it's a budget item within our service.
Okay, thank you.
The way it works is if you want to become an EMT, you become affiliated with us, you go to the EMT training, and if you pass, and if you decide to join up with us and do runs, then we reimburse your training. If you're doing it for your own and you do not want to join with us and go for a run, then you're paying for it on your own. Recurrent training is paid for. We have workers' comp even though we're not paid. So if we get injured, that helps. Okay. Other questions on the rescue squad? Okay, we have an amendment in front of us to change that appropriation from $7,756 to $10,000. All in favor of that amendment, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. Okay, so we have changed that. We'll continue on the list. If you want to go up or down on any of these at any time, you can do that. Next one is RCT, Rural Community Transportation, an appropriation of $900. Questions on RCT? Vermont Center for Independent Living, $210. Nothing? Wonder Arts, $3,500. Good? You ready for the question on the entire article? Anybody want to go back? Has anybody done the addition yet?
Yeah. 72,257.
Do it again.
72,257.
So that is 72257?
Yes.
Okay. So the amended article, number 6, bottom line, $72,257. All in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it. At any time, if 7 or more voters request a ballot vote on anything, just put your hands up and we'll vote by ballot. Okay. Article 7, shall the voters of the town of Greensboro approve the following special appropriation court requests from municipal properties listed below? Greensboro Conservation, is there a third word there? Commission. Commission, thank you. Greensboro Conservation Commission, $2,000. No comments? Okay. Greensboro Free Library, $25,000. No questions for the library? Greensboro Historical Society, $1,500. No questions? Oh, do we have a motion to accept? I don't think we did.
So moved.
So moved. And seconded. Okay, excuse me. Point of order on me. Are you ready for the question? Okay. All in favor of Article 7, which is to have the voters of the town of Greensboro appropriate the special appropriations as I listed, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. That's passed. Okay, here we get into the budget discussion. Article 8. Shall the voters approve the proposed budget in the amount of $1,920,297, which contains the necessary amount required by law and proposed expenses for the fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2019. This budget amount includes the outside and local appropriation request. However, that number's just gone up. So, do we have a new number?
Yes, it's $1,922,541. So again, $1,922,541.
Okay. The budget we're discussing is $1,922,541. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Seconded. Okay.
Mike second.
Discussion on the budget. Naomi.
Just one question. I know we discussed this last year, but is there a reason that we're still not breaking out the town clerk and treasurer salaries? And then, I guess that's the first question.
We didn't feel it appropriate to list every individual town employee's salary in the town report.
Yeah, I'm asking again because this came up last year since other towns, Hardwick and Craftsbury included, do this. And I think that there was just some desire from the townspeople to know how that's broken down. If I'm alone, that's something I'd be curious.
Further comments on the budget? Or Andy, you want to speak to that, or you're good with it?
It just felt awkward to list just a couple people's salaries when the rest of the people who work for the town, their salaries aren't going to be identified in the town report.
And then I have another question just about I believe it's the police or the fire department, or the police department, in terms of the increase there. I know there had been a grant that was received to kind of bring on a new person, but
Okay.
is
Which page are you referring to?
I guess it's in a couple places now, but on page 10, it's the $29,932 increase in the police, which is also then mentioned later on in the overall budget. And I just am curious if this is then going to be an annual addition.
There were two things that affected that increase. In the police contract, they had a stipulation that if they hired another officer, the portion that Greensboro paid would increase. Also, the contract that we have with Lamoille County Sheriff is broken into two sections. One's for Hardwick, like rescue, and part of it's for the police. In years past, this has been prorated 50-50, but as per the contract, that's not how the contract is written. So this year, we prorated those costs according to our contract. And it costs a lot more for dispatch services for the police department than it does for the rescue squad.
So let me just correct you on that. Rescue squad is not included in your bill from the dispatch, I believe. We as a rescue squad pay that. You guys are paying for fire and police.
And police, sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry. My mistake.
So then just to clarify, is this something that will then move forward as like an increase?
The accounting practice is going to stay the same, so that we're putting the cost where it ought to be. This last year, dispatch services went up 3%, right? So we're beholden really to whatever increases the Lamoille County Sheriff sends our way. The police department contract is a 3-year contract, and that is up in 2 more years, I believe.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, Bill.
Yeah, just staying with the increase in the police department, if I'm looking at this on page 10 correctly, there's a approximately $30,000 increase for the police, but approximately $29,000 decrease for fire. So is that correct, that the net increase is really only on the order of $1,000?
That's correct, yes. On the budget, on the overall budget, yes.
Further questions on the select board's budget, the town budget? Ready for the question?
Just an observation.
David?
On page 13.
Can't hear you. Hang on. Here he comes. Go.
On page 13, we have a Higway Equipment Replacement Fund. And I was wondering if that actually includes on the third line down there, the excavator. And whether, I'm sorry?
Absolutely.
Thank you, that's all I wanted to know.
One in every crowd. All right. Other questions or comments or jokes? You guys have anything you want to present? Higway, good. It's sort of like a headway. All right, so this is a ballot vote, which would require that somebody perhaps suggest something, but which is Article 8, shall the voters approve the proposed budget in the amount of $1,922,541, which contains the necessary amount required by law and proposed expenses for the fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2019. This budget amount includes the outside and local appropriations request.
You want a motion?
Yeah.
You want a motion?
Yeah, go ahead.
That the clerk cast one ballot for Article 8 as amended.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, great. So the motion on the floor is that the clerk cast one ballot to accept Article 8 as amended, or as altered, or whichever you like to call it. If you're in favor of that, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Looks like it's passed. Okay, Article 9, shall the voters of the town of Greensboro approve moving any surplus with the exception of the HRA?
A health replacement account is like a health savings account.
Okay. With the exception of the health replacement account line item, from the current fiscal year highway department budget into the HERF, Highway Equipment Replacement Fund account for the next fiscal year. Motion to accept? Moved, Dylan? Second? Second. Janet, discussion. What's this mean?
That what happens is if at the end of the fiscal year there is extra money left in the budget in the highway section, we can move that into the highway replacement account fund, so that helps fund our new trucks, excavators, or any of that. It's a savings instead of having that remainder that might be left at the end of the fiscal year, just turn back into the general pot, if you will. So it goes specifically to the highway replacement equipment fund.
Okay. More discussion? Nomi?
Sorry, just a clarification. So, Kim, you're saying that as it stands now, any surplus that's left over at the end of the year can be used for anything that is deemed necessary by the select board, versus this would make it so that it's only usable?
No. It is put back into the unallocated funds, and it does help to defray taxes on the next year. But in the past years, we voted just to put it back into our highway equipment.
Okay, thanks.
Fede?
A couple of questions. I'm curious to know what the situation of the town equipment is and what's the schedule for replacement of whatever equipment is, and what is the actual amount of this fund?
There is a...
It's on page 13 of your town report. There's a schedule for equipment replacement there. There's also a balance on what that fund is projected forward.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Fede?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Other questions, comments? And we are talking about Article 9. Yes, Judy?
I was talking to Jane Springer, who said she couldn't come today because she can't hear a word. So it becomes a very boring event for her. But she asked me to be her surrogate and put forward kudos to the road crew who have worked above and beyond this year.
They'll appreciate that.
Further comments on Article 9? Nope. All in favor of Article 9, which is, shall the voters of the town of Greensboro approve moving any surplus, with the exception of the the HRA line item, from the current fiscal year highway department budget into the HERF account for the next fiscal year? Please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. It's passed. Article 10, shall the voters of the town of Greensboro approve having the town treasurer serve as collector of current taxes and set the tax rate due of November 7th, 2019. Taxes will be delinquent if not received in the office of the town treasurer by Thursday, November 7th, 2019 by 4 p.m. Your pleasure.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Janet.
As collector of delinquent taxes, I'm getting scared that you're going to move the collection date to my tax sale date. Is it possible to have the date October 31st or whatever the week before is? And it's always on a Thursday because I was alone in the office on Friday. And so I was the only one that had to contend with late payers. It used to be, other towns, it's like, the 15th of the month. There's some steady thing every year. But
We had moved it because...
I know why you've moved it, but I'd like you to move it back.
No, it was because of the homestead declaration that keeps getting moved further and further by the state of Vermont, so we have to issue different tax bills because we may get a homestead declaration in after the tax bill. We can, if you'd like, we can move it to Halloween. It's your pleasure.
Would you like to make an amendment to that effect?
Yes. I moved the date of, I'm sorry. The date the taxes are due to, I think October 31st is a week before.
October 31st is a Thursday.
Yeah, okay, October 31st.
And then we can party afterward?
Is there a second on Janet's amendment? Second on Janet's amendment? Seconded by Dave Smith. Discussion on the amendment.
That means that the candy that we give out for tax payments is going to have to double with Halloween. Thank you.
Come in costume and pay your taxes.
Please.
Hey, Tim.
Sir.
Tim, I'm
where-
out of the
here we
ether
are.
over here.
Okay.
Maybe I'm the only one in town with the situation. Kim knows this well, but if you file an extension on your taxes and you get financial assistance from the state for income sensitivity, they have to. Kim, can you explain this? It's always.
Yeah, what happens is the state sends payments on well, this is in November 1, and that's the reason for the November 1, the last final payment from the state, if you get a state payment from your homestead declaration. And so our taxes go out, and people wait, and when they file, and you want to pay by the 1st, you get the state payments coming from, they electronically send notice on the 1st. And so there's this fine line of maybe 9 in the morning until 4 p.m. that we have to check to see if the state payment has come through, or else the person has to pay the full amount, even though they anticipate getting a state payment. So they might have to pay, say, $8,000, but they may be getting a $4,000 rebate, but they got to write the check for the full amount in hopes that the state sends that state payment to us. So that's the reason why we did it, just because of the Halloween date, that Thursday before. The state payment, as far as I know, is still going to come in on November 1. So there's that fine line, like Josh was saying.
And it's, in my case, it's like $3,000.
It could be huge
It's a
amounts
lot
of
of money
money
which does come back, but like if you don't have it at the time, it doesn't.
It takes a while for us to, even if that means it's overpaid, but it takes us a few weeks before we get all of our ducks in a row to issue our rebates of overpayments. So that's the reason we extended it to the 7th, because Halloween was the day before that last state payment comes to us.
Lynette?
Sorry, Janet, but that's important, and maybe we should go back to the 7th of November. It's important to me.
Isn't this because
I think
people...
it's very important. It puts people in a bind. It makes more paperwork for Kim. That's why the date was changed. And it puts people that don't have a lot of money at risk to write a check for an extra $3,500 to $4,000 if they don't have it in their checking account. They may have to borrow it and then actually give it back a week later.
Maybe I'm wrong on this, but those late payments, are they due to not filing your form in time?
No, they're extending the last date that the homestead is required to be sent in. They used to have it just tax due date, and then it was in October.
So they've extended it to November 1st?
No, they've extended it to October something, but then the state payment that is reflected from those late filings are not sent to us until November 1st.
Then we ought to go to the state, not to you guys.
Okay, we're discussing Janet's amendment to alter that date from November 7th to October 31st. Other discussion? You ready for the question, which would be to change the tax due date from November 7th to October 31st. You've heard a discussion. What is your pleasure? All in favor of Janet's amendment, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. No. The noes appear to have it. So we've defeated the amendment. Are you ready for the question? Which is, shall the voters of the town of Greensboro approve having the town treasurer serve as collector of current taxes and set the tax date due of November 7th, 2019? Taxes will be delinquent if not received in the office of the town treasurer by Thursday, November 7th, 2019 by 4 p.m. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will say no. You passed Article 10. Okay, now we get into Article 11, which is any other business that may legally come before the meeting. I remind you, we do not take any binding actions in this. In other words, we're not voting for anything. We could do straw polls and stuff, but the most important thing we do is set the date of 4th of July. And hear other comments or discussions from the audience. Who'd like to speak? Becky. Oh, Becky's coming up on stage.
Hello, I'm Becky Arnold, and I'm hopping up here to make you aware of the Fund for Greensboro. The Fund for Greensboro was started by the Greensboro Association with the help of many who are in this room, and thank you very much for that. It is a growing community resource, and it consists of two funds. One fund supports community initiatives. The other fund supports the protection of Caspian Lake. I simply encourage you to inquire as to how the Greensboro Association Grants Program and the Fund for Greensboro may be able to help a Greensboro area initiative that you care about that benefits the community as a whole. I encourage you to inquire as to how the Fund for Greensboro and maybe of assistance might be able to help. And I also ask you to consider helping with participating in the growth of this treasure of a community resource that we have gotten started. And in doing so, with an annual gift to the Fund for Greensboro or with a legacy gift, really that is a gift to our upcoming generations. And you will find information on the Fund for Greensboro online. I have some brochures in the front. You are always welcome to give me a call if you have questions, or chat with any of our community members. And Tim, our community members consist of Tim Nisbet, thank you Tim, and Nomi Rand-Schleifer, and Nomi Schleifer-Rands, I'm sorry, Nomi Rand-Schleifer, and John Stone, Mary White, and Vince Covich. So, that's really all. Questions?
Can you give us some examples of initiatives that have been funded, please?
Yes. The Greensboro, the Fund for Greensboro has not reached a point of being able to make a distribution yet. We're getting quite close. When we reach $100,000, we'll be able to start making an annual distribution, and we're at about $85,000 so far. So it's really getting close to that point. Hopefully in the next year we will be able to. However, the Greensboro Association Grants Program has been giving funds for several years in the amount of about $10,000 to $15,000 per year, and the Fund for Greensboro will help support this grants program. So, examples of initiatives that have been supported by the grants program are the library has received some funds, the EMT, the rescue program has received funds, the what else? Four Seasons. Yeah, could you, John? John is the chair of the grants committee. Thank you, John.
Becky has to raise the money. I have the lucky position to give away the money, or run the committee that gives away the money. This past year, we gave money to we pay half of the fireworks for the 4th of July. We give $1,500 to the library. We pay for, I think the beach budget's $6,000 between the two towns. We pay about over $1,000 to maintain the beach. We pay $1,000 to maintain the ski trails. We give money to the food shelf down in Hardwick. The emergency squad, we support that with a grant every year. Four Seasons, we supply $1,000 to them. Wonder and Wisdom, a $1,000 grant. Cemetery Committee, we contribute to that. Recreation Committee, about a $500 this past year. Fire Department, we give money to them. Historical Society, and the nursing home, and the Greensboro Land Trust. These are the types of people we give money to every year. And basically, we're limited by how much money we have, and right now all the money comes from gifts, people contributing to the Greensboro Association. But with Becky's project, this will be a more of a community fund, and hopefully we can increase our giving by raising more money through her program.
Thank you, John.
And Becky, can I just add a couple words as well? So I have the great joy of being on both committees in terms of getting to raise the funds and distribute them. And I just wanted to add that one of the wonderful things behind the Fund for Greensboro is really to build up this capital. And Lynette, to your point, right now we're raising the fund. So there's two different structures. There's the Caspian Lake Fund, as Becky mentioned, and that is what's called a reserve fund, which has a large amount of money in it right now that we're trying to build up so that if anything drastic were to happen in terms of a natural disaster or in terms of invasive species, that large sum of money could be deployed instantaneously. Then on the other side, we have the community fund, and that has been set up as an endowment fund to provide funds in perpetuity. And so within that, we as a committee have decided we needed to reach that $100,000 before we could start distributing the interest on that principal. So that the idea behind it is that it will continue to grow and provide increasingly larger sum of money towards initiatives. And so John was just listing a bunch of the things that the Greensboro Association has funded in terms of smaller grants, but the hope is that once we have a larger sum of money, we'll also be able to support larger kind of single-time initiatives within the community so that if there is some grand idea that we want to make happen, we could use the Fund for Greensboro and say, hey, we need $30,000 to make this happen, not just infusions of small increments of funds.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? Yes, Trish.
Actually, this isn't necessarily, I have a giving hat on, but it's not necessarily related to the Greensboro Fund. I was so proud that at the school meeting recently, of 84 people who attended the possible merger meeting, which was recessed, 35 were from Greensboro. And yeah, and to me, that just indicates how generous and how concerned we are about bringing young people into this community. So let me give us all a pat on the back. And there's some really creative things that are happening related to the school. They're not necessarily part of the official conversation yet, but stay tuned.
I don't know if this is the place for the question, but I am curious about Spark and its future in our community. I'm seeing some good things there, so I don't know who could answer that.
Okay, question about Spark. What's going on there? Who can address that? Nomi?
So I don't know what specific questions you have, but certainly if you have more beyond this, you can come and talk to myself, or you can talk to Ezra or Carol, who's sitting a few rows in front of you. But so Spark is this project that we have started, for many of you who don't know, in the basement of the church right now, where Wonder Arts has its offices. We've started up a makerspace / co-working space community hub, which is really hard to say, and so we dubbed it Spark. And what we're trying to do there, and I guess the initial impetus for turning it into more than just ideas was that Wonder Arts applied for and received a USDA grant for rural business development. And that grant we wrote 2 years ago, and so we're coming up on the end of the 2-year term for that grant, where we received about just under $68,000 for equipment funds in line of helping for business support and small businesses and rural development. But the efforts of Spark go far beyond that too, in terms of really trying to bring together a local community of businesses and individuals, entrepreneurs, and students, and really increase access to technology, resources, and skill sets that we know exist in this area. There are so many people doing amazing things, and oftentimes in their own workshops or home offices, or they go somewhere else. And the idea was to bring that sort of pool of human capital and technology resources to a single place, so that we up here in the Northeast Kingdom can have the same sort of access that you can get anywhere else. And so right now, I encourage you, if any of you guys are going to the pancake dinner at the church, or if you're just driving through town, anytime you see the Spark Open Now sign, to go check it out. We have a lot of high-tech equipment down there. We have a 3D printer, we have laser cutters, we have computers that have design software, large format printer, which has been used by a lot of different businesses here, including the Highland Center for the Arts. People are making large banners, posters. A lot of the artists in town can use it to make reproductions of their work, or print flyers. And so it's kind of this evolving entity, and we encourage you to get involved, encourage you to provide input, because I think, as Penny said, it has a lot of potential, and there's a lot of people that are putting their time, energy, and resources towards it. And I think when we think about it too, and one of the things that can draw people to the town of Greensboro throughout the year, not just in the summertime when it's, nice and the lake is out there, but people with really interesting ideas coming together and then being able to manifest them, and then not only have them as a hobby, but kind of elevate that into some sort of income generating idea as well, that makes it more and more feasible for younger generations to live here and make a living here. So I don't know if there's more beyond that, but there is a website, sparkvt.org. You can also just come check it out and ask any of us questions.
Thank you, Nick. Yep. Victoria?
Hi, it's Victoria. I just want to follow up on Tricia's earlier comment and thank everybody who came out to the organizational meeting for the new merged district a couple weeks ago. It feels like forever ago. And to encourage you to try to come out again on Friday night, March 15th, for the continuation of that meeting, where we'll be deciding on whether or not we want to use an Australian ballot for elections and for school budgets moving forward in the new merged district. I also want to encourage you all to stay for the Greensboro Town School District meeting this afternoon. Under the merger, your Greensboro Town School District will probably disappear. So that might be your last Greensboro Town School District meeting. Likewise, the Lakeview annual meeting is next Thursday at 7 p.m. It's also possible that that will be the last Lakeview Union School District number 43 annual meeting, unless the Senate Education Committee passes a bill to delay merger out of committee and onto the floor, unless the Senate approves it, and unless the governor signs it. And on top of that, as you all probably heard, the judge did deny our motion for an injunction yesterday. So we don't know what the next steps are, but it's looking right now that we're going to be moving towards merger on July 1st, 2019. So those pieces are continuing to go forward. I know this is a confusing time for a lot of people. A lot of people don't really know what's going to happen, what it all means. We're here as school board members around today. If you have questions, we'll do our best to answer them. We are also all kind of trying to figure this out as we go. We've had great support from our legal team. We've had great support from our community. And I know we all have a lot of attachment to Lakeview, and I hope that you'll all continue to support the school in whatever iteration it might take in the future. And like I said, stick around for the meeting this afternoon. Thank you. Oh, and there's also a flyer that's been circulating that has some pretty bare bones details about what's been going on the last couple months. It's out front. And questions. Oh, and Jerry. Oh, and if it's possible, I know that we are all enjoying the comfy chairs here at the Highland Center and the nice bathrooms, but I think it would be a good idea that in the future, if we're able to have our town meeting back in the school, that would be a great community space as well. It also opens up opportunities for area organizations to do a little bit more elaborate fundraising if possible, especially surrounding the lunch today. And anyway, I just want to put that out for the select board to consider. Thanks.
Okay, anything else to talk about under Article 11, excuse me? Other business. Yes, Judy.
Is this an appropriate time for a question?
No, can't hear you. Go ahead.
Is this an appropriate time for a question?
Certainly.
Yeah, okay. I have really become disgusted with the service we're getting from the telephone company. And obviously, every rep we have had in Montpelier has promised that this is going to be their top priority, good internet for the rural areas, and it ain't happening. Can we as a town do something, please? Craftsbury's doing something. I'm making an official request. Do something, guys.
You got that? Okay, other comments, questions? Nomi?
Just to add to that real quickly, one of the things that Spark does have is we have fiber internet. So for anybody who is really frustrated with their home internet, which I am one of them, Spark has 200 up and down speed in terms of megabit. So if you need a fast internet, come check it out.
Ken?
When is July 4th?
When is July 4th? Good question. Let me consult Siri. Hey Siri, when's July 4th?
It's a Thursday.
July 4th is on a Thursday. That's the official July 4th. I think I heard a proposal for July 5th. 6th is a Saturday. So, what's your pleasure? Saturday the 6th for the funky 4th? Okay. Anybody know how to walk on stilts? I think I'm going to be out west on 2 wheels. Okay, Penny? Penny, where are you? Where's your... Here he comes.
I don't really want to let Judy's request drop. I would like to make a motion that we, as a town, vote to draft a letter via our town clerk saying we are very concerned about the service to our area and all the troubles our residents have had this year. Please help.
You're out of order. We're not going to vote on anything in this article.
Okay.
No binding votes in this article.
All right,
However, you
so-
can make a suggestion, which you've just done.
All right, so I make a suggestion somehow that we communicate with Consolidated.
Okay. Are we settled on the 4th of July, the 6th of July? Okay. Yes. Linda?
I am not a town resident. Can I say just a quick thing?
You want to listen to Linda? Yes. Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to make sure that by doing it on the 6th, which is the Saturday, that we're not going to see a huge cost difference over doing it on the Friday, because sometimes these decisions are made. We don't do it on the 4th because I know it's very expensive, but the purveyor of the fireworks sometimes changes the prices between the Saturday and the Friday. That's my only comment.
So I think what we're talking about is the parade, chicken barbecue, all the stuff that's going on in town. Fireworks, I don't know, who's in charge of fireworks? Anybody? Who does fireworks?
Me.
Oh, Kim, yeah.
I can talk to North Star Fireworks and see if there would be a difference between that Friday and the Saturday night.
Okay.
We normally had it on the Saturday night of the parade with the rain date on the Sunday.
Okay.
But, you know, every year is different, so I can contact them to see, but I can't guarantee anything. It's their contract.
Okay, Anna? Hang on, oh, you got it? Good.
Hi, my name is Anna Keeler, and I helped pass, or you guys passed a resolution last year that let the state know that we were concerned about climate change, and then in April, the select board appointed me town energy coordinator via text. So that's what happens when you show interest in this town, which I appreciate. So I just want to talk a little bit about what me and my Energy Action Committee got done. And they are Mark Snyder and Isa Ori. And we got a button-up campaign started this fall, and we had 2 events, one at recycling and one right outside of Willie's. And we were able to talk to people about how they can make their home more comfortable and how they can save money. And I hope that everyone has a survey that got passed out. If you don't, please come and find me. But we really hope that, I talked to a few people who said that they don't do surveys, and I understand that. But if you do surveys, I hope you'll fill it out and give it back to us, because we're going to try to talk to every person in our town and see if we can help them make their home more comfortable and more efficient through the heating and electrical and also cooling, unfortunately, that we might need to do. So if you are comfortable in your home, we also want to hear from you so we don't waste our time trying to track you down and bug you. This is going to be my focus for about a year, and then I'm hoping to go on to other topics. But if there are people who would like to form an energy committee, I'm up for that. I couldn't find anybody who wanted to come to meetings. So right now it's just me, and then I'm practicing catch and release. So if you like to make flyers, or you like to bake, or if you're a talker and you want to talk this up with people, I'm always looking for help, and I would love to connect with whoever you are. If you want to just be caught for, like, you know, an afternoon, you could bake some goods, and then I release you. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to come to a meeting. So that's the state of the energy coordinator. And then I'm going to pass this off to Mark, and he's going to talk a little bit more.
Hi, Mark Snyder here. So I want to thank the previous participants in the Energy Committee, because it's kind of like breaking a boulder, and you got to keep punching that boulder until it cracks. So we renamed ourselves the Energy Action Committee. So we want to take action. So what can we do for action is, in the state of Vermont, there's 80,000 houses that need to be weatherized. You can do the math about our small town. I've audited a bunch of homes in this town, and an audit is basically an assessment. Sometimes you get assessed and audited and everything's great. Other times we find low-hanging fruit or some other issues that we can address. If you fix your house up and weatherize it, because this is a button-up campaign, it's the only thing you can do to your home to save you money. So if you put a new kitchen in, you're never going to get any money out of that. I did my train station over 8 years ago, and my payback was 7 years. So every year going forward, the $7,000 or $8,000 I put into that building now pays for itself. And maybe more importantly, or equally as important, it's comfortable now. So if you've had your house audited or assessed, kudos. If you've built a high-performance home, so a few people in this room have done that, hats off to you. But then the rest of us are driving the equivalent of like a 1973 LTD with a 460 V8 and a 4-barrel carburetor. Now, if you can make your own gas and that doesn't bother you, that's great. But the rest of us, maybe we would like to look at our homes, and I'll be happy to give you a courtesy walkthrough to help point out deficiencies. And then if we find deficiencies and you're low income, there's a program called NETO, Northeast Education and Training Organization. And NETO will fix your house for free if you're income qualified, which is amazing because your house or your trailer could be fixed and make you more comfortable and save money, which everyone wants to do. If you're in the middle, then Efficiency Vermont is coupled with Opportunities Credit Union and VSACU for either 0% loans or up to 5%, depending upon your income, up to $35,000, up to 15 years. I'm debt adverse, but if you could borrow money cheap and it would pay you back, that is a no-brainer. And then if you're blessed to be, to have the wherewithal, then, and you don't need that money, then you should just fix your house because it's the right thing to do. And if anybody's in any of those three categories, which I know all of us are, and you haven't had your house assessed, please feel free to reach out to me or Anna or Isa. All three of us have done our houses. Isa did it, do it yourself. Anna did it, do it yourself. And I actually did it, do it yourself. So you could cut the middleman out, or you could reach out to us and we're going to give you all the help that you want. So it's very confidential, it's quick, and there's really no excuse for you all to not have us look at your house and button it up. So we have a table set up out front, and we'd be happy to talk to you, and you could look at some poster boards of awards that have been won, showing you how easy it is. So again, if you fixed your house up, great. If you haven't, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'd love to help you out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.
My name is Isa Uri, and a couple of years ago I moved into the old Clary farm on Taylor Road, right before the winter, and I was a little nervous, and for good reasons, because I froze my pipe, I froze my toes, and I froze my royal you-know-what. And so I stepped out and looked for little programs that I could do, things to improve the quality of the comfort of my home. And I want to introduce one of the programs that it's not income dependent, and it's not dependent on the age of your house. It's really easy to do, and it brings actual cash into your pockets. And I took pictures of what I did. You can come see those out. We have a table, the Greensboro Energy Action Committee. And I want to just show you really quickly what I did. We all have outlets in our home, old and new houses. If you take those lids off the outlets and put your hand right over that little opening, you will be surprised at how much cold air comes into these. There's like little underground tunnels that go through your home, you know, where the cold air travels. So I bought some foam covers. They're really cheap. You get like 20 for $3 or something. You plop them on the outlets, put your cover back on, and you got that sealed. Another one that's really great is window trim. When you install a window, oftentimes the carpenter needs a little space to, level it out and do that. And that little space around the window never actually gets insulated. So they put the trim above it, and then where the trim meets the trim, there's a little seam, and that's where the cold air comes in. So I took some caulking that's paintable and just ran around my windows and caulked all the trim, no more drafts. Another one that I found with the help of Mark, who came and looked at my house, is a really big deal. If you have an old fireplace with brick, where the brick meets the actual firewall, there's a mortar, and the mortar doesn't have a crack or anything, but it sort of acts as a real funnel for cold air that comes down the chimney. I was totally surprised. I put my hand there, and it's almost like it blew me backwards. It was so much cold air. So I took some high heat mortar, just ran a bead across that, covered it with a wet sponge, and no more draft. The same thing goes for where you have your old ash box. This is, of course, if you don't use that fireplace for a fire anymore. Open up that ash box that's in the floor, put in some fiberglass, and no more draft, because usually that ash box leads down to a basement, often that's unheated, and it functions like a chimney. And then you just cover it up, with your little metal plate, and you can't see it, and it's sealed. Another one that I found was, this is a pipe where the oil gets delivered, and it leads into the old farmhouse, and that pipe has, as you can maybe see, a gap around it, so cold air goes in it, and with it probably a whole bunch of mice and other critters. So I took some caulking and put an end to that. The old front door at the farm, I didn't know how leaky it was until it rained sideways, which it apparently does a lot in Greensboro. I had the rain inside my front door. So this is a door that I don't use, so I caulked it on the outside, and then I decided to caulk it on the inside since I don't use it. Totally sealed, no more leaks. Old chimney that goes through the house, obviously out the roof. Well, it leads into an uninsulated attic, which is the norm. But because it wasn't sealed against the ceiling, it sucked out all the warm air. So a little bit of what's called great stuff, expandable foam, really is great stuff. Squirted that in, no more leak. The same with, this is a crawl space, an entry to a crawl space, can also be your attic entry. I used some old blue board pieces that I had kicking around, made them fit, and then of course I sealed the heck out of them with the great stuff. And that worked really great, airtight, no more leaks. And then finally, I have a kitchen door that I love in the summer, but in the winter I don't use it. And that kitchen door I figured out because the ice was forming on the little window panels. It's a single pane window, and so I put a big piece of blue board against the door on the outside. I cut it so it fits snug. I didn't even really have to seal it. And I can take it back out in the spring and use the door. Then what I did, so all these things are very easy, very little effort. So I took pictures of everything. I took pictures of my bills. So any materials like the foam and the blue board, etc. I kept my receipts, took pictures. Then I went online to Efficiency Vermont, and they have this upload function. You can also email, or you can send it by snail mail. I sent them my pictures, and I sent them my receipts. And within half an hour, I had an email confirming that they were sending me $100 in cash for what I did. So this is great for everybody. It's a win-win situation, and no more cold toes. Thank you.
Anything else to come up before this meeting?
Tim, I don't know if this works. Is there anyone here who can speak to the town planning?
Anybody here that can speak about the town plan?
I'll speak to something.
Okay, yep. David, here comes the mic. Yep.
Is there something specific you had a question about? Well, I'm laughing because we had meetings with the community. We finalized the town plan, the select board accepted it, and then we realized that we did not go through a couple of hoops for us to get the designation in terms of approving or not approving alternative energy projects in town. We did not go through all the hoops in order to get the more protective designation from the state. And so we are in the process of going through those hoops. As a matter of fact, we have a meeting, I believe it's March 25th. I saw a couple other members of the Planning Commission here. I believe it's March 25th. But anyway, we have to go through that formality of having another meeting and allowing towns that border us to make comments on our plan. We don't expect any changes in the town plan because of that. So we think we're finished with the town plan, except for jumping through those hoops that we have to in the next couple of months.
Thank you, David. Anything else?
And then, of course, because of the town plan, a new town plan, we will be suggesting new bylaws as a result of that.
So, reminder. Oh, sorry, here comes Andrew.
Peripherally to that, this year the select board wrote a proposal for a grant through a program through the Vermont Vermont Council on Rural Development. They have a program called the Community Listening Program. This is a very competitive grant. We were selected as a town, and this summer we will have a fantastic facilitator coming in to help us really craft a cohesive vision for Greensboro over the next 10 to 20 years. This process is only going to be as good as the participation here, and I encourage everybody to try to find some time this summer to participate. Hopefully help us decide a lot of these questions that have come up through the town planning process. So keep your eyes out for information that should be happening sometime this summer.
Do you think that having achieved this, it might help with our school situation? I mean, if we look at the town with school, without a school, with a partial school.
Eric, you want to say that all over again, please?
Do you think this process might help us with our school?
I think it has the potential to bring a lot of voices to the room, to help us find expertise if we don't have expertise. I don't think it's necessarily going to intervene in any legal process here, but one thing that will come out of this process is access to experts, whether it's affordable housing, zoning, whether we want to build a waste treatment facility. There's a lot of conversations that were happening around this town during the planning process, and here's an organization that's going to come in, help facilitate a conversation where the more voices present, the better, and give us access to expertise should there be an interest in following up there. So please participate.
Nancy? Lewis? Hang on.
I don't think a date has been set. They usually do maybe 2 to 3 towns a year, so it is quite competitive. And they indicated that it would be sometime early to midsummer.
Okay, Victoria.
Just to be clear that if this merger does go through in July, decisions about the actual building and what happens in the school building will be made by a merged board. And that the voting will be done by the electorate of all 4 towns in that district. Hardwick, Woodbury, Greensboro, and Standard will be deciding on the school budgets, on the staffing, all of that together. So the effort for this planning grant is amazing and could help bring young families to our community, whether or not it has an impact on what happens to the Lakeview School building and having a school in our town. It's too soon to tell, and it might, the decisions that group makes might take longer than the unified board will want to have it take. I'll just put it that way. Does that help?
Okay, so it looks like we're winding down. It's 4 minutes past 12. However, remember there's a Hazen vote out in the lobby. There's a solid waste vote out in the lobby. There is a pancake dinner tonight at the church from 5 until 7. Donations support the food assistance programs at Lakeview School. Remember the school meeting coming up here at 1 o'clock. I'd like to thank HCA for allowing us to have our meeting here. And to Lewis and McKenna for running the microphones. Thanks, guys. So if there is nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And seconded. It is neither debatable or amendable. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, we're out of here. See you at 1 o'clock.
4 Seasons is still doing lunch.
Yeah, lunch, 4 Seasons. Excuse me.